You remember the sound first, that perfect crack of ball meeting strings echoing across the public courts while your mom sat in the car scrolling through her phone, waiting. The older kids were practicing their serves, and you pressed your face against the chain-link fence, watching the yellow blur rocket past the net like it was defying physics. "I want to try that," you whispered, not knowing those 5 words would hijack the next 15 years of your life. Your parents thought it was cute. Tennis lessons twice a week at the community center with Coach Martinez, a weathered man who smelled like sunscreen and spoke in broken English about keeping your eye on the ball. The first time you made solid contact, the vibration traveled up the racket and into your bones, and something clicked. Not just physically, something deeper. You felt chosen. The other kids in your group quit one by one. Too hot, too hard, too boring. But not you. You stayed after lessons, hitting balls against the practice wall until your shoulder burned and your mom honked the horn. You begged for a better racket for your birthday, traded your allowance for strings, watched Wimbledon highlights on YouTube until your eyes blurred. Coach Martinez started pulling you aside. "You have talent," he said, and those words landed like a drug in your bloodstream. Talent. You rolled it around in your mouth, tasted its sweetness. He talked about junior tournaments, about real training, about what you could become if you were willing to work for it. You said yes before he finished talking. Your friends were playing video games and going to sleepovers while you were doing footwork drills in 95-degree heat. But you didn't care. You had found your thing, your purpose. The courts became your church, the baseline your altar, and every point you won felt like proof that you were different. Special. Destined for something bigger than this small town and its small dreams. You practiced your acceptance speech for Wimbledon while brushing your teeth. You imagined the crowds, the trophies, the interviews where you'd credit your humble beginnings. The fantasy felt so real you could taste the champagne and feel the weight of the trophy in your hands. That was before you learned that tennis doesn't care about your dreams. Before you discovered that talent is just the entry fee to a game designed to break you. Before you understood that the sport you fell in love with would systematically destroy every other part of your life, until nothing existed except the court and the relentless pursuit of a perfection that would always dance just out of reach. But standing there at age 12, watching your first forehand winner scream past your opponent and hearing Coach Martinez yell, "Muy bien," from the sideline, you felt invincible. You felt chosen. You had no idea you'd just signed your soul away to the most beautiful, brutal, unforgiving mistress in all of sports. The sun was setting behind the courts, painting everything golden, and you thought this was what happiness felt like. You were wrong about a lot of things back then. The alarm screams at 5:30 a.m. and your body moves on autopilot. Feet hit the cold floor, tennis bag already packed from the night before, breakfast eaten standing up because sitting down might make you late, and being late is not an option when you're chasing greatness. The drive to the tennis academy takes 45 minutes through pre-dawn darkness, and you use every second to visualize your training session. Cross-court backhands. Approach shots down the line. The serve motion broken down into 17 micro-movements that must be perfect every single time. You're part of the elite junior program now. The chosen ones. Kids who gave up normal childhoods to chase yellow balls around rectangles of green concrete. Your coach doesn't smile anymore when you hit good shots. Good is expected. Great gets a nod. Perfect gets silence, which somehow feels like the highest praise. The other kids in your program are hungry in ways that would scare normal people. Sarah practices through stress fractures. Marcus hasn't taken a day off in 8 months. Jenny cries after every loss, then gets back on the court and hits serves until her shoulder screams. You recognize the look in their eyes because you see it in the mirror every morning. Desperation, wearing the mask of determination. Your ranking starts climbing. First in your city, then your state. National junior tournaments become your weekend routine. Driving hours to play matches that might last 20 minutes or 3 hours, depending on whether your opponent cracks first or you do. Hotel rooms that smell like chlorine and disappointment. Continental breakfasts eaten in silence while your parents scroll through tournament draws on their phones. School becomes an afterthought. Your teachers make accommodations because you're pursuing excellence, but you're falling behind in ways that won't show up on a transcript. While your classmates are learning how to be humans, how to have conversations that don't revolve around tennis, how to handle emotions that aren't rage or determination, you're learning how to disguise the shake in your hands before important matches. You win your first regional tournament and feel nothing. The trophy sits on your dresser collecting dust while you analyze video of your semifinal match, noting 3 unforced errors that almost cost you the title. Your parents post pictures on Facebook of you holding the trophy, smiling, but you remember standing there feeling empty, wondering why victory tastes like chalk. The money starts becoming real. Tournament entry fees, travel costs, coaching fees, equipment, private lessons. Your parents stop talking about family vacations. They start working overtime. Your little sister's dance classes get canceled so you can attend a training camp in Florida where coaches will spend 2 weeks rebuilding your serve from scratch. You overhear them fighting about money late at night. Your mom's voice breaking as she talks about refinancing the house. Your dad says it's an investment in your future, but his voice sounds tired, older. You pretend to be asleep, but you're calculating the cost of your dreams in marriage counseling sessions and missed mortgage payments. Your body starts speaking a language of pain. Your shoulder pops when you rotate it. Your knees feel like they belong to someone 40 years older. The trainer at the academy tapes you up before practice, and you've stopped asking if it's normal for 14-year-olds to need this much medical intervention to play a game. But you're improving. Your ranking climbs into the top 50 nationally. College scouts start calling. Everyone tells you you're right on track, that this is what success looks like, that champions are forged in these exact fires. You believe them because you have to, because admitting that you're drowning would mean acknowledging that everything you've sacrificed, friendships, family stability, your own childhood, was for nothing. So you keep grinding. You keep waking up at 5:30 a.m. and pretending that the emptiness growing in your chest is just part of the process. You keep hitting balls and telling yourself that happiness is just one more tournament victory away. The lies taste sweeter than the truth, and you swallow them whole. You stop recognizing yourself in photos, not because you look different, but because the person smiling in those tournament pictures feels like a stranger wearing your face. When did your eyes get so hollow? When did that smile become something you put on like a uniform? Your childhood friends have given up trying to make plans with you. You're always busy, they say, and they're not wrong. Saturday morning cartoons became Saturday morning practice sessions years ago. Birthday parties clash with tournaments. School dances happen while you're in another state, playing matches that will be forgotten by everyone except you, who will replay every point in your head for weeks. You get invited to a sleepover, the first in 2 years, and realize you don't know how to talk to these kids anymore. They're discussing movies you haven't seen, music you haven't heard, drama from school you weren't there to witness. You sit in the corner feeling like an anthropologist studying an alien culture. These teenagers who laugh without calculating the energy expenditure, who complain about staying up until midnight like it's some grand adventure. When you excuse yourself early to get home for morning practice, nobody seems surprised. They've already started talking around you, like you were never really there at all. Your relationship with your parents morphs into something transactional. Conversations revolve around tournament schedules, ranking points, coaching decisions. Your mom asks how your backhand felt today instead of how you felt today. The distinction matters more than anyone realizes. Family dinners happen in restaurant drive-thrus between practice and matches. Your sister tells you about her day at school while you ice your shoulder in the passenger seat, making appropriate noises but not really listening. She stops trying to include you in her stories. You become the ghost at the family table, physically present, but emotionally checked out to the tennis court. The breaking point comes at Christmas. Your extended family gathers for the first time in years, and your cousin asks what you want to be when you grow up. The question hits like a slap. You realize you haven't thought about anything beyond tennis in so long that the concept of having other interests feels foreign. Professional tennis player, you answer automatically, and everyone nods like this explains everything. Why you're antisocial, why you look exhausted, why you flinch when your uncle tries to hug you and accidentally touches your injured shoulder. Your grandmother pulls you aside later. "Are you happy, Mijo?" she asks, and the question lodges in your throat like a fishbone. Happy? When was the last time you felt happy? Not satisfied with a good shot or relieved after a victory, but genuinely, simply happy. You can't remember, and the realization terrifies you. You lie to her because the truth, that you're not sure you remember what happiness feels like, is too large and sharp to fit through your mouth. The physical costs compound daily. Your sports medicine doctor knows you by name now. MRIs become routine. You develop a casual relationship with pain that would alarm anyone who isn't deep inside the tennis ecosystem. Your knees sound like bubble wrap when you walk upstairs. Your serving shoulder requires 20 minutes of warming up before it agrees to function. You start taking ibuprofen like vitamins, hiding the bottles from your parents, because admitting how much pain you're in would mean admitting that something is wrong with this whole enterprise. The trainer teaches you techniques for playing through injuries that should require rest. Rest is a 4-letter word in elite junior tennis. Your identity shrinks until it fits entirely within the boundaries of a tennis court. You are your ranking. You are your last match result. You are the sum of your unforced errors and winners. Everything else, your sense of humor, your curiosity about the world, your capacity for joy, gets filed away as distractions from the only thing that matters. You realize you've become a machine designed to hit tennis balls, and the scariest part is that everyone around you treats this like an accomplishment. They call you dedicated, focused, elite. They don't see the hollowness behind your eyes or recognize that you've sacrificed your humanity on the altar of athletic achievement. But the sacrifices aren't finished yet. They're just getting started. Act 4, the breaking point. The panic attack hits during the third set of a match. You should win easily. Your heart hammers against your ribs like it's trying to escape, and suddenly you can't remember how to breathe properly. The court feels like it's tilting. The crowd sounds like they're underwater, and your opponent becomes a blur across the net. You call for the trainer, claiming dehydration, but you know this isn't about water. This is about the weight of everyone's expectations crushing your chest. This is about the voice in your head that's been screaming for months, maybe years, and you've been drowning it out with the sound of tennis balls and the roar of crowds. The trainer gives you electrolytes and tells you to take deep breaths. What he doesn't understand is that deep breaths feel impossible when you're suffocating under the weight of your own life. You lose the match in straight sets after that. Your parents drive you home in silence that feels like disappointment given physical form. Your coach sends a text, "We need to talk about your mental toughness." Mental toughness. As if the problem is that you're not strong enough. Not that you're breaking under pressure. That would crush most adults. The realization creeps in slowly, then all at once. You hate tennis. Not just the losing, you hate all of it. The sound of balls hitting strings makes you nauseous. The smell of the courts triggers anxiety. You catch yourself driving the long way home to avoid passing the academy where you've spent the last 6 years of your life. You hate what tennis has made you become. You hate that you measure your worth in ranking points. You hate that you can't watch a movie without analyzing the character's mental game. You hate that you've forgotten how to have fun, how to play, how to exist without keeping score. But admitting you hate tennis feels like admitting you hate yourself, because tennis is all you are now. Without it, what's left? Who are you, if not a tennis player? The question keeps you awake at night, staring at the ceiling while your shoulder throbs and your mind races through all the ways you're failing everyone who's invested in your success. Your parents have remortgaged the house twice. Your sister hasn't gotten new clothes in 2 years because your tournament expenses eat the family budget. Your mom works double shifts to pay for your coaching. The weight of their sacrifice sits on your chest like concrete. You start having dreams about quitting. In these dreams, you walk off the court in the middle of a match and never look back. You imagine going to a normal school, having normal problems, being a normal teenager who worries about normal things like pop quizzes and crushes instead of world rankings and scholarship opportunities. But then you wake up, and reality crashes back. This is your life. This is who you are. This is what you've built everything around for the past 6 years. And walking away would make all the pain, all the sacrifice, all the lost moments with friends and family meaningless. So you keep playing, but now every practice feels like self-harm. Every tournament is another opportunity to disappoint yourself and everyone who believes in you. You're trapped in a prison you built yourself, and you handed the key to coaches and parents and sponsors who keep telling you that greatness is just around the corner. The corner never comes. Your ranking starts dropping. Not dramatically, but consistently. Every match feels like swimming upstream in concrete. Your shots lack conviction. Your movement looks labored. Opponents you used to dominate start taking sets off you, then matches, then tournaments. Everyone wants to know what's wrong with your game. They analyze your technique, your fitness, your strategy. Nobody asks what's wrong with you, the person holding the racket. Nobody considers that maybe the machine they've built to play tennis is finally breaking down. You sit in your car after a particularly brutal loss, still in your tennis clothes, and realize you're 17 years old and you feel like you're 40. You've aged in dog years and you're not sure there's enough of you left to salvage. The breaking point isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's the moment you understand that tennis isn't making you better. It's making you disappear, piece by piece, until nothing remains but the hollow shell of someone who used to have dreams. You're sitting in a college dorm room that smells like instant ramen and regret, staring at a tennis scholarship offer that should feel like victory but tastes like ashes in your mouth. 4 years of free education in exchange for 4 more years of your soul. The math doesn't add up anymore. You start seeing a therapist who specializes in athletes. She uses words like identity foreclosure and athletic retirement syndrome, clinical terms for the very real experience of having your sense of self ripped away along with your ability to compete. She asks what you enjoyed before tennis, and you realize the question doesn't make sense. There was no before tennis. There was only tennis, and now there's nothing. Slowly, painfully, you start to remember fragments of who you might have been. You take a creative writing class and discover you have thoughts about things other than double faults. You go to a party and laugh. Actually laugh, for the first time in years. You have a conversation with your sister and realize she's funny and smart and you barely know her because you were too busy chasing rankings to pay attention. The reckoning isn't just about tennis. It's about time. All those hours on courts could have been spent learning who you were beyond your backhand. All those tournaments could have been sleepovers and school dances and lazy Saturday mornings. All that pain could have been channeled into something that didn't require you to sacrifice your childhood on the altar of athletic achievement. You think about the kids still grinding on courts across the country, their parents convinced they're different, special, destined for greatness. You want to tell them what nobody told you, that the cost of chasing tennis dreams is measured in more than money. It's measured in missed connections, lost childhoods, and the particular kind of loneliness that comes from turning your passion into your prison. But you also know they wouldn't listen. Just like you didn't listen when older players tried to warn you. The dream is too intoxicating, the promise of greatness too seductive. They have to learn for themselves that tennis takes everything and gives back just enough hope to keep you playing until it's too late to stop. You're learning to live without tennis, but tennis will never leave you completely. It's in the way you analyze every situation like a match strategy. It's in the competitive fire that burns even when you're playing board games. It's in the understanding that most people will never know what it feels like to dedicate your entire existence to the pursuit of perfection in something as arbitrary as hitting a ball over a net. The final realization comes on a Tuesday afternoon when you're walking past your old courts. You stop and watch some kids playing, their parents sitting in cars scrolling through phones, and you feel something unexpected: gratitude. Not for tennis, but for surviving it. For making it to the other side with enough of yourself intact to rebuild from the wreckage. Tennis taught you how to lose everything and keep breathing. That might be the most valuable lesson of all. If this story hit different, smash that subscribe button on GRINDFLIX and drop a comment below. We're just getting started with the raw truth about what it really costs to chase greatness. Your support keeps these stories coming.